Live from Las Vegas, Nevada, welcome to the Virtual Light broadcast at lightworker.com. Today is Saturday, April 27th, 2013, and this is segment 2. Please welcome Sandie Sedgbeer.
Hello, welcome back to the Virtual Light broadcast. Our first guest today is an English mystic, a channel, an author, and somebody whose work has become so powerful and simple, yet very, very profound, that he's attracted an international following. If you haven't had the pleasure of experiencing his work, then you'll get an inkling of where he's coming from when I tell you that the title of one of his books is You Are God, Get Over It. Please welcome Story Waters.
Thank you, Sandy. Lovely to be here. I'm feeling such a strong energy, so I'm really excited to see what turns out.
So, You Are God, Get Over It. That's a very provocative title. You must have ruffled a lot of feathers.
I remember I'd written a fair segment of it, and we were driving down the California coast, and I was, what am I going to call it? And I just really wanted to summarize the entire book in the title. And I just felt, this is what this book is saying.
And how did people react to that? Because I fell about laughing when I saw it.
People that get the book and people that are going to get the book are going to laugh and, love the title. And people that, don't get the title probably aren't, going to enjoy the book because they're stuck in that use of that word. And part of the book, and this was part of the journey for me, is I didn't like the word God. It had become too religious, and a part of writing that book for me was reclaiming that word from religion. Like, give it back.
Which is a very powerful thing to do. Yeah. Now, about 4 years ago, you started channeling another energy. You don't call it a being as such, but you call it a collective intelligence called Sun.
It's really what I've always been channeling, and the name started coming through a few years ago, because I've always channeled a collective consciousness that I'm a part of. And so the name started coming a few years ago, but I didn't want to use it because the fear that I had was people see it as something separate. They see it as other. And that's not how I experience channeling, and that's not really what I tried to communicate to people, that channeling is not other. There is one consciousness. And that's the level that I teach at, that there is only one consciousness, and keeping that always in mind. So I see it more as an experience. It's an experience of collective consciousness. And when I channel, all the audience are invited, and their spirits are there in the collective, and their guides are there in the collective if they want them to be. So it's so inclusive. And another difference with the name from maybe other channels that have names is it's so varied. It's a huge collective. It's over 5,000 beings. And depending on the topic, different ones more step forward. And when I first started channeling them, it was more through what I call kind of like an interface of about 9. It was 3 triads, of which I was one. And as it's now evolved, I bring more of them in simultaneously. I don't need that bridge. I can just connect. And it's so delightful now, the different flavors that come through, the different expressions. Some are very potent, some swear quite a lot, some are just very loving, and it's the whole kind of gamut. And I like to convey that.
How do people respond to that? Because people, generally identify with a being, a channel, and they expect it to be the same all the time.
I think people have a difficulty with it, to be honest. It's very hard to pigeonhole. It's very hard to just put a label on. And also the way it varies. So someone might come along and fall in love with a channel and go, this is it, this is the one. And then they hear the next channel and they're like, oh. But the message is entirely consistent, entirely cohesive. So I kind of find that surprising. But it just shows how people do like to have that sense, that it's stamping things with personality. And so much of what I teach is about the fluidity of consciousness, the fluidity of even individuality, our own selves. We are all beings flowing through each other. It's an illusion. The illusion comes because we tie our consciousnesses to one body. That's the level we go to. But when you go to 5th dimension, it's not like that. It's fluid. Part of the teaching describes beings, our beingness as the stuff of creation, the stuff we create with, actual beings, not concepts, not thoughts. And just this feeling of flowing through each other. We're all flowing through each other.
We hear a lot lately. There's a lot of people having experiences, Jill Bolte-Taylor, the neuroscientist, Anita Moorjani, all of these people who are giving out this message about the unity of consciousness. And it's something that's really hard for people to grasp. Do you think that this is our biggest barrier?
I really think it is. It's this connection to the body. The body, there's a wonderful channel at the end of last year called Your Body's Independent Consciousness. And, so it's almost saying, this is almost like your body's a consciousness that you join with. And it's like then opening up to other lives, opening up to not only other lives in other lifetimes, but other probable versions of this current life, different probable timelines. One funny story is I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning. I was buzzing with energy. And just lying in bed, I probably played through several versions of this interview. It was like looking down different timelines at different probable interviews. And I was kind of saying, oh, that's good, I'll go with that. And it's like picking the ones I wanted. And it's a part of my channeling process. It's the same doing a broadcast on the weekend. A few days before, I will start seeing myself saying things. And then I say them because I saw myself saying them. It's a kind of temporal paradox that I say things because I saw myself saying them. And it's just because it's a powerful, one of the easiest ways for them to communicate. So this is a powerful moment. This is a powerful moment connecting to many people. So it stands out. It's got a lot of energy. So lying in bed this morning, I was able to watch. And this ability to look down timelines, which is fifth dimensional perception, anyone can do it. And the only thing you need to do it is not a technique, it's not a practice. You can use a practice to get to it, but it's the belief you can do it. And that's a lot of the message at the moment, is this is the limits of our reality are being entirely determined by what you believe. So it's about how can you get to believe, to know what you can do? How can you get to believe that this is an amazing world, this is an amazing experience, that you chose to be here? That's always been a big part of the message. You chose to be here. No
We chose
mission.
to be here, but we don't think we have choices when we're here. So many people feel
Belief.
that it's
That's
all limited.
belief.
Yes, exactly.
And we live within the confines of that belief. So it's kind of like, what is the reality you want to live in? Feel it, imagine it, and then work out how you can get from your current belief system to that. Look at what beliefs are in the way, because that is all they are. We are creating this reality. It's flowing out of us. We are not on some train on a journey. We are not on this journey of this great awakening. We are. The great awakening is through us, is through our beingness. This external world is an illusion. It's a mirror, it's a reflection of it. It's an amazing illusion, but all realities are illusions. So it's just about this realization that you are source consciousness. There is not something else. There is not an other. And we came through this veil of forgetting to have this experience of remembering, but during remembering, through that process, we imagine. And in that imagination, we are literally creating worlds. Worlds are birthing from this reality in every direction, all the time. This is creation. This is the cutting edge.
I was listening to one of your audios, and I was fascinated when you talked about experiencing the energy. I think that probably best describes it, of John Lennon. And you said that we all have access to every experience, every persona, if you like, that has ever existed. Now, some years ago, Jean Houston was working with the Clintons, and part of the way she advised them was to tell them to put other presidents in an imaginary chair and ask them questions. She got pilloried by the press for that. But what you're saying is absolutely true. We have access to that.
It's a living library, that which they call the Akashic Records. It's a living library. It's not, and it is all available to us. This is what I meant by the lives are the stuff of beingness. And when you come to this earth, you know, the way that I view it is not even our own lives, because it's all source consciousness. That which we perceive as our own past and future lives are the ones that we have chosen to identify with us and bring with us as tools. But the whole of Earth's history is there. There is no being in history that you cannot bring in as a template. And if you bring that being in as a template, within the system itself, there really is no distinction. No distinction between what you would call your life and its life. So, you know, I brought some lives with me, and John Lennon was one of them. And, you know, I don't overly talk about it, actually, because people react in a funny way, as if I'm claiming something. But it's like, no, you could have chosen that. There is nothing stopping that except your belief.
Your belief, yeah. Now, I want to talk a little bit about something that you and I had a discussion about a few days ago, which is that a year or so ago, you embarked on a project where you were basically making access to all of your work free, in the sense that people could give what their heart told them to give. And that was a big experiment. And you said that experiment failed to a degree, although you learnt a lot from it.
Oh, it was perfect for me. I saw my crap. I saw the bit where I was giving away my power. I saw my sacrificial thread. So yeah, I just put a huge amount of my work online, and it was just pay what your heart chooses. And really, the only people that paid what their heart chooses were the people that followed my work anyway.
Yes.
And, you know, things like, essentially like my download sales completely dried up, and I went through, it was my stuff. And it was such an awakening, such a stepping into power, and it was so, that realization that, you know, it's a really old message, it's amazing how we're always hearing it again and again, that you have to put yourself and your own needs first to do this work. If you're worrying about the rent and stuff, you're not doing the best work you can do. So it was a very interesting experiment. But that said, there is still plenty of work on the site that people can download for free of charge. And at the moment, actually, both my books, You Are God, Get Over It, and The Messiah Seed, if you join my newsletter, you can download the ebooks of those for free.
You know, this is an issue that many people, especially people who watch this show, have to contend with, because they're afraid to charge too much for their work. Many people have the belief that if it's spiritual, it's got to be free. And yet, the paradox is that when people get it for free, they don't benefit nearly as much as when they pay for it.
This is the other real shocker of it, and I fought against this in myself. I was like, I don't want to believe that. But it is so true. If someone pays an amount of money that's significant to them for something, they will approach it in such a different way than if it's free. Mm-hmm. And it's a profound effect. And it's belief. It's that, you know, there's also a level of commitment in how they approach it, but it shows what we bring to the things. It's us. You have to bring yourself. A big part of what they talk about is, with the channels, is meeting them. It's all about, you know, not just this is information, that we create this bridge of consciousness for you to meet and come and have the direct experience yourself. So it's that bring yourself to it. And there's something connected with money around that. When people pay for something, they more bring themselves to it. And, you know, I would love the world where, and we're heading there. Yes. We're absolutely heading there, where that isn't the case, where we recognize the value and experience it in and of itself, not because it's got a price tag on it.
As a teacher, how do you teach people to divest themselves of all these millennia of conditioning?
I think such a big part of it is about this realizing you want to be here. There's so many people are still here on mission energy, And being of service, it has to be your joy. If it is not your joy, if you're doing it out of an idea of a mission, you're in sacrifice, and that's old energy. So the realization that comes is joy and service are the same thing in so many ways. And I also don't see a distinction between service to self and service to other, because there is one consciousness. So a big part of the way the work starts is getting people in contact with the realization that the only reason that they are on planet Earth is because out of all the omniverse, this is the place that most excited them. So when you get that mission energy out of the way, then you start being able to access in the heart what your passion is. And then it's about feeling that passion. And then as you feel that passion, essentially what happens is things that are contrasting to it start to come up. So your beliefs, your limited beliefs, your programs, through the nature of you tapping into your passion and raising your vibration, it's like they come up. The expression in You Are God, Get Over It is the shit hits the fan. And it does, and you deal with it. So the thing is, by focusing on your passion, it's not like you have to go hunting for the wounds. By just so focusing on joy, they will find you, because they literally can't exist in your energy field as you keep lifting it.
Yeah. So when you are expressing that passion, it becomes so compelling.
And the thing about when you drop the mission is, the real way to view this planet is a playground. That's when you've got it. And you play in a playground. You play. And when you've got that feeling, that's when you know you've really dropped kind of all those mass consciousness programs.
It's a much nicer thought to follow than that this is a school and we have to learn lessons.
It just doesn't have to be that complicated. That can be a way to do it. It's absolutely legitimate, whatever gets you there. But the way that I teach and the simplicity of it is being in joy, being in play, being yourself, following your heart, doing what your heart chooses, giving yourself what you want. That will lead you there, because it's all about being more and more you. We are all unique, and your gift is you. It is you. Being absolutely and completely you is the highest service you can be.
So if I want to teach something and you are the best example for me, all I have to do is tap into you and I've got access.
So much of the channels that I do, it's about meeting them. It's about coming to that space. I don't want to teach people an idea. I want them to have a direct experience of it. And that's what happens in the channels. People feel, they start seeing things, they have multidimensional experiences. And that's what I most want, is to give people those direct experiences. I don't want anyone to have faith in what I say. I want them to have the direct experience, because it's within us all.
Well, it's the only thing that counts, isn't it? And we are going to have a direct experience in a minute. But first, there's another experience that people can have, because you're doing an event this coming weekend, next weekend?
In Joshua Tree. It's the more advanced end of my work. So I do recommend checking out the things on the website first and getting yourself a bit of grounding. It's the Adventures in Consciousness series, and this is number 4. And the feeling that I have for what we're going to do this weekend is it's going to start off really looking at this thing about beliefs and pulling it home. And they really get direct. They don't let people move. It's kind of pinning down where people have that kind of escape energy and don't want to look. So looking at our beliefs and really getting down to that realization. You are creating your reality through this belief. That's the only limit. And then I feel like once we've got that established, we are then going to play. We are going to play with beliefs. And I know one of the ones that's being lined up is changing our pasts. Going in, looking at different probable pasts and tapping into them. Because time, future, past, it's all an illusion. So just the channels are going to be kind of experiential and encouraging people into this multidimensional space to have direct experiences of what is possible.
And anyone can join that because you're also
It's a live
streaming it
broadcast.
live. Yeah.
It's the first time I've done a live, I do live broadcasts all the time, but not of seminars. So I'm also really excited to have the physical in-person audience and the stream. So that's this next coming weekend. We'll be broadcasting from Joshua Tree.
How can people find out about that?
If you go to the website, that's limitlessness.com, you'll see all my channels are in a timeline. So you'll see in the upcoming, you click on it and you can book there. That's also where you'll find all the channels, the ones you can purchase and the ones that are free. Of the free ones, a really good one to start is Your Dream Starts Here. And then you'll see in the top right-hand corner of the screen the newsletter. And if you join that, you'll get the ebooks as well.
Okay, great. So if you're ready, let's have an experience.
What I thought I'd slightly do, because I've been teaching a channeling course recently, and people really enjoyed this, is as I go in, I'll try and talk a bit about what I'm experiencing, just as the leading, because it helps people bridge to it and connect. Okay, so just want to breathe with me for a second. Oh, I clear my throat. I hope I don't deafen you all. So I want you all to understand, I'm going to lead in because I do not experience channeling as an on-off thing. Initially I did, but now it's like a staircase. I walk up, and you can walk up this staircase too. So first of all, you just want to kind of go into this stream of consciousness. And when you're in stream of consciousness, at the moment, I'm not channeling from the other side. I'm just entering the flow of life, the flow that goes through us all. And I'm not thinking about what I'm talking about. I'm not thinking about the next sentence. It's just flowing through, and it's just in that energy of the words. And you enter into this state. You can do this speaking, you can do this writing. Don't worry about what you're writing. Know that when you're doing this, it will feel like you're making it up, because the imagination is the bridge, the imagination. So that's why it feels like you're making it up. Now, as I start to get in this space, and I now start to expand, I feel it's kind of like an energy bubble, and it's expanding and expanding. And initially, when I began to channel, it was kind of like I was on the edge of the energy bubble. But as it has now evolved, I experience myself as the whole energy bubble. And now that it's expanding and going further and further out, I'm now beginning to arrive at this experience of collective consciousness. We are all collectives. We are all open systems, open flowing systems of individuality. Feel this. Feel what you are connected to. Feel your guides. Feel your other lives. These are all, on one level, experiences of individuality, but feel how they can merge together. Now, the thing that people often don't get about collective consciousness is it is an experience of self. An experience of self. This is such a key to grasp. People expect this other. Do you know there is nothing that Story Son has ever channeled, that he did not experience as I am? And this goes all the way to what we call the bridging consciousness. That is the collective consciousness of Earth. And you pass through that state of being, each and every one of you, as you entered the Earth system. And when you leave the Earth system, you will pass back out through it. The collective consciousness of all humanity. You are connected to every being that is. So understand that. And understand by opening yourself, by integrating ever wider experiences of being, you will be bringing in more and more points of perception, more and more perspectives. And dear ones, do you know what freedom is? Freedom is the multi-perspective. The more perspectives you simultaneously hold, the freer you will feel. You will see the freedom in everything. And where is this all occurring? Where is this great, great awakening occurring? It is occurring in you. You are where this is at. Not this planet, not out there, inside. Inside you. That forum, that platform, that belief system, that perception, it is in you. You are where it is at. You are the creators of worlds. You are source consciousness. You are magic. You are awesome. Feel that, know that, be that. And you will be fulfilling everything you ever came to this planet to do. We thank you for this moment, eternally, of connection. Namaste.
If there was one thing that you wanted to leave behind as a message for humanity, what would it be?
The expression that just went through my head is, you chose to be here, stop whining.
You always cut right to the quick.
Love this life. Or don't be here.
Or don't be here, yeah.
It's no one, nothing, no force in the universe is forcing you to be here. And when you get that, that's when you start playing. That's when you really start getting what is possible. And it has to come from within. No one can do it for you. No one can. At some point, you have to step up to the plate and say, I am.
Do you think that we have the ability to achieve that?
I know we do. I absolutely, I've seen it.
You've looked down the timeline.
It's in there. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I've tasted it. I don't stay there permanently. I'm still on my own journey, but it's there. And when you get it, when you see through that bit of the illusion, that control, that worrying about what other people think, fearlessness, feel the fear and transform it. That's what's pushing back the boundaries in this world.
I think that's a great message to give to people. Story Waters, thank you so much for joining us today. I wish you every success with your event next weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Do stay tuned. We'll be back in a few moments with some information about some advanced technology that is being used in integrative medicine to great effect.